Ray, and I'm here with beginner makeup for women over 60. Recently, I went over to a friend's house. There were 3 of my friends there, and we looked at their makeup, and I gave them some ideas about products they could use and also how to use the products they already own. So I gained so much insight from that. I've done this video about a year ago, and I thought it was time to redo it and add a few things that I think will be helpful. If you like these kinds of videos, make sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video if you get some benefit out of it. Let's start first with what I have on my skin right now. I have my skincare on, and since this is a makeup video, I didn't film putting on skincare, but I want to let you know what I do have on my face. I have my Numbuzzin. This is a Korean brand that has some amazing products that I've used for the last couple of years. This is one of their brand new products that's great for plumping the skin, for fine lines and wrinkles. It's called the NAD Plus Bio Lifting Sil. This is an essence. I used this after I cleansed my face, and then the only other product I've put on is sunscreen, and this one's from Healthy Skin Lab. I use sunscreen every day, 2 fingers full of sunscreen, and this has a little bit of luminosity to it and a slight amount of coverage. So it took a little of the redness off of my skin, and right now it's just a little tacky. Now, if you just like sunscreen and powder, I'll show you a great powder I would put on top of this. I wouldn't want to go out of the house with all this shine. I think this is a lot of shine. So if I were just wanting sunscreen and a very simple look today, then I would put a little powder on top. So let's go ahead and start with the makeup. I'm going to start with the brows. What I have found works really well for me is a combination of 2 things. Now, I have pretty fine brows. I didn't overpluck them. This is just how they grow. What I do for my brows at this point is I just get rid of the stray hairs. I don't really go into the shape of them. I sort of leave the shape that naturally occurs. So if you have fine brows like mine, there's 2 things I would recommend doing. First off, for Maybelline, this is their Super Fluff. It's a brand new product. This is like mousse for your brows. So it's not just color, it's also fluffing up the brow. So I just take it, and one thing you want to do with any of these products is make sure you wipe it off because it gets a little too much on it. So I'm going to go right into the brow and just brush it on and let it catch on every hair that it can catch on to. Now, if I were just going out for a walk and not really going shopping or doing things like I am today, then I might just put this on and be done with it. But if I want a fuller look to my brows to draw in hair that doesn't exist, then I go in with a pencil after this. So this is with only the Maybelline Super Fluff. I think this gives a pretty nice look. Now, one of my friends said she doesn't have much hair. It just doesn't grow. This is the NYX Professional Makeup Brow Powder Pencil. You may have something very similar already. This is just a new product that I really like a lot. I bought 2 shades, taupe and blonde. I started with the blonde and it was a little too light for me. The taupe seems to work better for me. I like to draw in this area of the brow where it's thinner. That's where it's thinner for most of us, is the arch to the tail. So I'm just going to take this pencil. Now, by the way, if you're looking for a pencil, I really like this one, and you can sharpen it. So I'm going to just draw in to fill in to give a little more shape, a little more thickness, a little fuller brow. Just drawing in from here to here gives the brow a much fuller look. Now I'll take the spoolie and brush it out. You want to blend quite a bit when you do brows. Look at the difference of just adding a little bit of color here compared with this. Now, what I like to do, since I bought the pencil anyway, is take the blonde and do a little bit up front. Now I'm just going to go ahead and finish off my other brow. A great tool to have, and we'll talk about tools in a moment, is a wedge sponge. These are super affordable. You can get a huge package for under $10 that will last you probably several years. And you can use this edge to sort of clean up the brows. Now my brows look a little more like sisters than cousins. Every brow's different. I have different hair on both sides. It's just the way it is. It's so important to put something on your lips while you're doing your makeup. You can wipe it off and put on your lipstick. Your lips will be so much fuller. They'll feel better. The product will apply easier and it will just look 100 times better. So I like this from Essence. It's super affordable, $4.99. It's their Super Peptide Glossy Lip Treatment. Now I wear this to bed too, but I love using it while I'm applying my products. So I just push some up and apply. One tool I can't live without is the Revlon Jelly tool. This is made of silicone, so it has a little applicator on this side and a larger one on the other. And what I love the small side for is smoothing out any lip product I put on, whether it's lip liner, lipstick, lip oil, lip gloss, whatever. So I just take it and go over the lips and smooth it out, make sure I have everything covered. This is just wonderful. Now, I've had several people ask me, how do I clean it? All I do is either take some kind of white that has alcohol in it to disinfect it and wipe it off, or I wash it with soap and water. If I'm in a rush and I'm just doing something here, I might use my micellar water or just take a tissue and wipe it off. I think one of the most complicated areas for a mature woman is the eyes. We have fine lines, wrinkles, discoloration, hooding, just all types of issues that we're working around. But I think it's so important to do the eyes. It will just give you a whole different look, whether you wear glasses or not. Some people have said to me, I don't do my eyes because I wear glasses. So I just feel like doing your eyes can just add so much color and life to your face. So let's start with priming the eyes. If you just put eyeshadow onto your lids, it's most likely going to not show up, disappear, and crease. So you need an eye primer. Eye primer has been a game changer for me, and I have one right here that's absolutely amazing. It's from this company, Sourmet. Now, not only is this an amazing eyeshadow primer, but you can use this under your eyes to hide discoloration that you might have in this area. And I definitely, with having a very deep set eye, get dark in here just from shadows being cast, and also thinning skin. We get thinner skin under the eyes as we get older, so my veins and things can show through much more than when I was younger. So we're going to use this. It's called undershadow. So you use this under eyeshadow, but you can also use it in the under eyes. So what I'm going to do is just rub my finger, and I always clean my hands before I do makeup, even throughout applying makeup. I love these wet ones. They're extra gentle. They have no fragrance in them, and that helps a lot too. Another thing, when I'm cleaning up on my face, I love this Garnier Micellar Water. This is a great way to remove eyeshadow or flaking mascara from the day before, any of that, while you're working on your eye makeup. Another tool that I keep next to me all the time are Q-tips or cotton swabs. These are actually from Walmart. They're Equate, and they have a point on both ends, and that helps me to get like under here and really be able to get close and clean up. And just even from yesterday's makeup, I can still, even though I've double cleansed and done all kinds of things and eye makeup remover, sometimes you'll still find there's a little bit there, and that gets it right off. So I'm taking the Sorbet and going onto my lid, and I want to show you the difference between how my lid would look without it and how it looks with it. This is very emollient, not drying, but look at the difference between the eyelid with the primer and without. Now again, that's blocking out the veins in my eyes, but where it really makes a difference to me is the longevity of the makeup and makeup actually showing up. If you like very soft colors, then sometimes they won't even show up on your eyes if you don't have some kind of primer. Now I see right now that I need a little more blending in this eyebrow here. So I'm just taking the brush and blending it out. And I'm always going back and touching up areas of my makeup as I'm working. So I'll think something's blended enough and then I'll realize that it's not. The eyeshadow I'm going to use today is from Doll 10. It's called the Doll Squad 2.0. I purchased this recently because I'm trying to find more products without talc in them. Now, a lot of people are talking about talc not being good for our health, but also talc is very drying. So on a mature eye, if you're putting an eyeshadow that's full of talc, it's probably going to dry out your eyes during the day. And some women already start off with very dry eyes. Mine are more of a combination, a little dry in spots and oily in others. So I love this powder and I'm going to go in with a matte. Now you have a choice. You can use matte or shimmer. I don't usually use glitter. I use it occasionally, but I love that this palette has mattes and shimmers, so it gives me a lot of variety. But I love that this palette has mattes and shimmers, so it gives me a lot of variety. Let's pause for a moment and talk about tools. Now, this is like an old-fashioned makeup sponge, but it's longer. I love these, and you can use something like this. It's very simple, easy to use. Now, I love the brushes that I have from BK Beauty. I want to show these from the Angie collection. Now, this is a small, fluffy brush. If you have a smaller eye space, you will love this brush. I have used this smaller, fluffy brush on my daughter because she has a small lid space. You can see the difference between these two. The reason fluffy brushes are so great for eyeshadow is it gives an airbrushed kind of look, very diffused. They're great for blending. A lot of people love brushes like this one that are more compact. We call this area the mobile lid. Now my crease, that naturally a crease in the eye, is so far back in my skull that just like someone with a hooded eye, I create a crease. So when I do my crease, you'll hear that term a lot as you watch videos, is up here. So I look straight ahead and apply the product up here. Otherwise, if I apply the dark shadow here, it's going to make my eyes look sunk in. And if someone with hooded eyes applies it in their crease, you're not going to see the shadow. So let's go ahead and start the application. I'm going to use this flatter brush. This is the A501. Everything I'm using today, by the way, will be in the description of the video. That box is available when you hit the More button, and you'll hit the More button again, and then every link will come out to show you everything I'm using today. Let's start with this shade here. And I'm just patting the brush in. Now, one thing you can do too, so you don't get too much shadow in the eye and it's not falling and catching on your sunscreen, my skin is still a little tacky from the sunscreen, is to take the brush and press it in like this on your hand. And that way, any powder that would have fallen off onto the skin is in the brush or here. So I'm just going to pat really softly, pat on the mobile lid. And I'm just doing a little bit of a brush stroke. And you can see that's pretty pigmented. Let's go on to the other eye. And again, I wouldn't be getting that pigment if I didn't have the primer on. It would look a lot softer. But if we're putting all this work into our makeup, we want it to last all day. So now I'm going to grab, I'm not going to put any color in the crease. What I'm going to do is take my fluffy brush and blend what I've already got on the eye up into the crease. See how I just could take the product that was already there and bring it up. And I'm just going to diffuse it sort of into the brow area so everything blends. Right now I'm using the larger of the fluffy brushes. This one for me is great for the side if I want to apply a deeper color. I really like it. But this one brush really is enough. You could just do your whole eye with this one brush. You don't have to have multiple brushes. Now, another very affordable way to blend your shadow would be to take that wedge sponge and just blend the edges. One of my favorite makeup artists, Victoria Jackson, she was very big in the 90s. I bought a bunch of her makeup, and the makeup I bought came with an instructional video. She used wedge sponges for the entire face. So you can too, and these again can be washed too. You don't have to just throw it away when you're done with it. These can be used multiple times. I'm going to blend the lid. Now this could be the end of it. You could be done, put on your eyeliner and mascara, but I'm going to add a little shimmer. When I'm adding shimmer, I like to put it on my finger and tap it onto the eye. Now where I'm going to put it is right in the center to the inner corner. I'm going to leave the outside with this matte shade. I'm just gently patting on the eye. Now I'm going to take that wedge sponge and just blend it because there's areas that didn't catch the shadow. So I'm just going to blend it all. Now, if you get any mess under your eyes as you're working, I like to take this part of the sponge and just sort of clean it up. It's almost like one of those magic erasers you use in the house. This works great for cleaning up the under eye. Now, I think that's a beautiful look. Most days I would stop there, but let's add a little bit of the darker shade in the outer corner. I'm grabbing the A504 brush and tapping into the deepest shade in the Doll 10 palette. And again, I'm going to tap it onto my hand so powder doesn't fall out. And I would do that with any shadow. I don't feel like these Doll 10 shadows make any mess or anything like that. I would just do that with any powder I'm using. And I'm sort of making a 7 here on the eye. I'm starting in the middle, going out here and bringing it on to the lash line. I really like that. That added a little interest, a little depth. If this is too much, I understand. You could have stopped with the first shade or even done a lighter shade in the palette. You could have put something like this that's even softer. I went with this one, which is a couple of shades darker than my own skin tone. Let's take that wedge sponge and do a little bit of blending. I also like to take the sponge and go up like this. It just sort of feathers out the edges. Let's move on to eyeliner. A lot of women over 60 stay away from eyeliner. They feel like it's just too much, but I feel like it really defines the shape of the eyes. I'm using a beautiful shade from Revlon, their Color Stay Liner in the shade Black Violet. A lot of us stay away from black as we get older because we feel it's too strong, but we do want some definition, and this Black Violet is just stunning. So I'm going right close to the lash line, almost like I'm drawing on the lashes, and I'm just going back and forth. Now I want to give you a tip that I gave one of my friends that has very shaky hands. She cannot use a pencil like this. It's too hard to hold. What I said is take something like this. They also have smudger brushes, which are great. I have one from BK Beauty, but you can take a sponge applicator like this, put the product onto the applicator, and then go on the lash line and smudge like this. You get a nice smoky diffused look. This worked for her, this trick. I was so excited, so was she, because this is too hard to hold something like this, but she was able to hold this and grip it and also do the lower lash line. She loves doing a little bit of color in the lower lashes. So she took this and I said, just go like this under the eyes, and you can connect it with the top line on the corner. This is a lot easier to grip than these pencils. Let's take a look at the difference it makes. This was so much easier to do than using the pencil. It's amazing. Now, I wanted to mention that if you do use the pencil, on this end of it, there is a sharpener in the Color Stay pencil and a smudger you can use to do exactly what I was doing with the applicator. This is a little more dense than the sponge I was using here. I really like this one. And you can hold it like this, and it's just really easy to work in this area. Now let's move on to mascara. One way to make a real impact with your lashes is to use a lash primer. I use this one from L'Oreal. It's their Lash Paradise Primer. What this does is bulks up your lashes. It forms a coating over them to make them thicker. So I again take the brush out, get some of the product off. There is a lot on the brush. And then you just coat all of your lashes. So I'm just going over my lashes just as if I was putting on mascara. You let that dry for a moment and then go in with your mascara. I have really been enjoying this Paradise Big Deal. It's a brand new mascara from L'Oreal. The brush is special. It has a crisscross pattern so that no matter how many coats of mascara you put on, it doesn't clump. Now, what I do for mascara is wiggle at the base of the lash. That's where a lot of people miss, is the base. And when you get enough color down where the lashes begin, it almost is creating like an eyeliner look there, making the lashes stand out. It's important to lay the brush there and just let the product settle down and then brush through the lashes. And you can wiggle the wand. You just want to make sure to get that product down really low. So I sort of just lay the brush there for a moment and then wiggle. So this is one coat on this eye. I'm going to go for 3. So that's one coat. Now that would be enough if I were going out shopping, but if I want to look more glam, I'm going to add at least one more coat of mascara to the lashes. So here's 2 coats. The great thing when you do your second coat, at least for me, I always find lashes I missed. If I'm in a rush and I don't have time to do all of this to my eyes, I will often use something like an eye crayon like this to go over the eyes. Now, I love this one from Thrive. This one is a shimmer, a glitter. It's not a matte. I often will use a matte crayon on its own for an eye look. This is great for going on top of shadow. If you put down, say, a matte powder and you want a little sparkle, you could always go in with this, like this, just to add a little more to the look. I think eye crayons are so great for people with shakier hands or that maybe don't like playing in the powder. I think these are absolutely outstanding. They have a little sharpener on the end. They just twist up. They're just as easy as can be to use. Now I'm going to take my Q-tip and just clean up. I see I have a little bit of mascara a couple of places. I'm going to clean the under eye good. And then we're going to go ahead and put on concealer. I've often had a question, is there an order to putting on your makeup? I like to save my foundation for the end because then if eye makeup drops down, I can easily clean it and then go back, and if I wipe off too much, I might add a little bit of sunscreen back on. So let's move on to concealer. If you don't have dark under eyes, you might be able to just bring your foundation underneath your eyes and not even use concealer. I'm going to be using this one from Fiera because I just think it's so mature friendly. When I first saw this, it's a luxury concealer, but you use a drop. So this would last me, if I was only using this maybe a year and a half, it would last a really long time. So I just put a tiny bit. Now it looks very thick, but you warm it up between the fingers like this, and then just pat in the under eye. And this gives just unbelievable coverage. I can definitely see the difference between this eye with the concealer and this without. And I start on the edge and inner corner and then bring the least amount of product to the middle because this is where I have more fine lines and creases. If you want fuller coverage, you can always add a tad bit more. Just let this sort of start working and then go back in and add a little bit more if you want more coverage, depending on how dark you are in the under eyes. What a difference concealer makes. Now let's move on to foundation. I want to show you a trick for getting your foundation to last a long time. Now, the foundation I'm using today is supposed to last 30 hours, which most likely none of us need 30 hours. The foundation is from Maybelline. It's their new Lumi Matte. I find that it gives me a satin finish. I'm in the shade 120. And by the way, for the concealer, I bought neutral beige, and I'll have all the shades listed in the description also. I do feel this lasts incredibly well. Now, a little trick you can do if you have a different foundation at home that you find is not lasting is taking setting spray. I love this one from Charlotte Tilbury. It is pricier, but I just bought a small one and it lasts a really long time. And just spray some setting spray into the foundation and then mix. It thins it out a little bit, makes it easier to spread on the skin. As you can see, it really became spreadable, and it helps your foundation to last a really long time. So there's so many ways you can apply foundation. Often in videos, you'll see me use my BK Beauty brushes. Today, I'm going to use the wedge sponge because, again, it's just super affordable and it does a great job. Some of these old tools that we used to see used in the 50s, 60s, 70s are still great today. I'm doing half of my face just so you can see the difference between the side that has foundation and the side that does not. Most of the product I keep concentrated on my nose. Now, if your makeup wears off on your nose, mine does. I have combination skin. Setting spray just changes that. A sponge too will give you a lighter coverage on the skin than a brush. It's just really quick and easy to do. So that's one thing I do really like about a sponge. All right, so let's take a look with the foundation and without. When I'm doing my foundation, I like to work in areas. So I don't put it all over my face. I'll put where I want to work. Like right now, I put it in the cheek and I want more foundation here and less on the perimeter because that area has less redness. It has less texture. It's just a lot smoother there. So I don't need quite the coverage that I need around the nose and the cheeks. I'm really loving the way this foundation looks with a sponge. I do usually apply it with a brush. That's why any foundation you already have at home, if you're not happy with it, try applying it different ways. Try using a sponge, brushes, and see how it looks best on your skin. And you don't need to be rough with these sponges. Just a feather touch is all you need. I always make sure too to get up around the brow so that you don't see a line where the foundation ends. Also, you want to make sure to bring your foundation down on the neck. You don't want a line where it ends. And sometimes we might use a foundation that's a little bit deeper than our own skin tone to just give warmth to the skin. So bringing it down, blending it onto the chest really helps to finish off the look. Bronzer is such a great way to warm up your skin. I love this one from Merit. It's in the shade Clay. And the reason I love this so much is because it just blends so easily. So you can see I'm putting it around my jawline, hairline, and right under the cheekbone. And we're just going to warm up those areas. I do love this brush from BK Beauty. It's on a slant and it just seems to be so easy to work with. And I'm not really dragging the product. I'm more pouncing into the skin and the product will just sort of push into the skin. If you drag too much, then it's going to move places that you don't want it to be. And I even bring it up onto the cheekbone. There are days that I don't wear blush, that I just wear this bronzer because it just has such a beautiful warmth to it. You can go ahead and put some bronzer also on your neck. This helps blend the makeup too. I can't use self-tanner. I'm allergic to it. So I find that bronzer is a great replacement for shaping the face and really warming it up if you can't wear self-tanner. Okay, and a little bit on the nose. I find that actually the cream is so much easier to work with than powders. Now that the skin is all warmed up, let's put on a little blush. I love cream blushes, liquid blushes, but today I'm going to use a powder that I recently bought from Ravi Beauty. And this is so beautiful. It sort of goes from a powder feeling to almost a cream feeling. And it just melts into the skin. It doesn't lay on the skin like a lot of powders. So I'm going to grab this brush from Doll 10. I really like it. It came with one of the products that I bought, and I'm just going to tap this into the skin. And I do put my blush up higher on the cheekbone because if I put it on the apple, look what happens. My blush would be down here. So the apple doesn't work as we age, and the skin falls too far when we stop smiling. So I like to put it right up on the cheekbone. And as the day goes on, I usually find that the blush will come down a little bit. Look at the life that blush gives. It's such an important product. If you like cream blushes, I am just fascinated by this one from Doll 10. This changes with the pH in your skin. This is the one called Hint of Tint. It's the In the Mood pH Adaptive Cheek Color. I bought this recently, and I have a warm one too. They came as a set. I thought I would love the warm one the best. I ended up loving this the best. It just really adds such a youthful glow to the skin. I'm going to put a little on top of the Ravi just so you can see it a little bit. And it lasts so well. All of the makeup I'm using today that I'm showing you, I'm also trying to show you makeup that's going to last. That if you put it on in the morning, it's going to look very close to the same when you come home in the evening. So I just love this. You can do this. You can top creams on top of powders or put a cream down and put powder on top. Either way, it helps with the longevity of your blush. You don't need highlighter. Highlighter is one of those products that I just think can elevate a look, make it look more glamorous. I'm not a fan of a lot of the powder highlighters. The older I get, the more I find they just don't look very natural, and I just don't like them as much. But I love this from Tula. It's their Rose and Glow Get It. This is like an eye care as far as keeping the under eyes hydrated and highlighter all in one. So I'm going to show you what this looks like. The stick itself looks pink and it goes on feeling like water, but then look at the highlight that you get. It really is beautiful. I love using it as a highlighter, and it's feels beautiful in the skin, very moisturizing. It's like you're putting an eye cream type of product on. But again, it's the texture of water. It just sort of goes away and keeps the skin hydrated, but look at all that nice glow that looks very natural. Again, this is optional. This is not something you need. It's just if you like that glow. I especially use this when I feel like my skin looks dull and I'm just missing something. It always seems like this elevates the look. When I put on the foundation, I didn't use primer today. I used the setting spray because I wanted to show you that it's really simple. I have a video I'm working on about primers. I feel like primers are amazing as far as changing the look of your makeup. I'm going to show you one at the end that can be used as a primer or setting spray, which you can use the Charlotte Tilbury that way too. You can put it on before applying your foundation. You can put it on into your foundation like I did, or at the end as a setting spray. But if you're looking for something for texture and pores, I really recommend this one from Maybelline. It's their new jelly primer. It's just beautiful. It comes out looking like green jelly. This primer does blur my pores. I love it. I've used it in other videos, so if you'd like to see it, I've done it in other videos, but I really wanted to show the setting spray today because it's just a simple way to really make your makeup last. Before we do lips, I want to put on some powder because I feel powder adds to the longevity of makeup and takes off the shine. And so I've been using this one from Doll 10 because it has no talc. Again, I'm trying to get away from talc in products, and this doesn't have any talc in it. I'm in the shade 1.5. This is a great tool, super affordable. These puffs are great for powder. They can be washed. You can reuse them so many times. I'm going to go into the Doll 10 and I'm just patting. You don't need to scrub into the powder. Just pat, get some on, and then I just go over any areas where I have shine, especially in the T-zone, around the nose. It helps to keep the makeup on if I have issues with my allergies. And the chin is an area where makeup tends to wear off. In the folds here, this helps the makeup from collecting there. And then I love it for the forehead because it keeps the makeup from getting into my fine lines and wrinkles. I just feel like this powder gives such a finished professional look. Now let's talk about my favorite product, lips. I'm going to wipe off the peptide that we put on earlier. One of the most important things, in my opinion, for mature women when it comes to lips is using a lip pencil. You can use a lip liner that is clear just to keep the lipstick from bleeding, or you can use one with color. The advantage to using one with color is you can give your lips a beautiful shape. If you're just using clear, you're not going to get more shape out of it, but you will keep the product from bleeding. Today I'm going to wear one of my favorite lipsticks from Revlon. This lipstick was worn by Audrey Hepburn in Breakfast at Tiffany's. It's the shade Pink in the Afternoon. I love it for spring. I'm going to line my lips with this lip liner from NYX. It's their Duck Plumping lip liner. It plumps the lips a little bit, which is good. We want that border to plump up a little. This is in the shade Subtle Touch. So let's go on with the lip liner. This reminds me so much of one that I love from Buxom. This is my favorite lip liner lately for higher end lip liner. I've talked a lot about the Maybelline lifter liners, but notice how this one from NYX and the Buxom both have almost the same size tip, and they're sort of cut on a slant. So I am loving this one. Now I'm going to fill in the sides of my lips just to give a little more depth. I could fill in my whole lip, but I don't want to. I want to leave this open for the Pink in the Afternoon to get more of a realistic color to it. So I'm going to use my jelly tool to blend. So I've got this ready, and I'm going to go on the center of the lips with the lipstick. Now, I don't want a harsh line around the edges, so I just take the jelly tool and blend. I love this look. You can see what a difference lip liner makes. NYX also makes a clear lip liner in the Duck line. So if you want that plumper sort of look on the edges of the lips, then I think this is great. It has, at least the one I'm wearing right now, has a little bit of a cinnamon type feel. So there is a little bit amount of burning going on there. Another product I love is if you want more shine to the lips, this is a little over $4. I have repurchased this so many times. It's from CoverGirl and it's a topper. So it gives you the look of a gloss without it being a gloss. It feels more like a balm. Look at how much shine this added to my lips. Now that we're all done with our makeup, we could add a little of the Charlotte Tilbury setting spray at the end. I don't like spraying my whole face. What I like to do is take any brush that I have. I'll just grab this one from BK Beauty. I just take the Charlotte Tilbury setting spray, either spray it into a sponge or a brush like this, and just lightly go over the makeup. And then it's going to last for hours and hours. This is a final look. If you enjoyed this video, if you give it a like, I appreciate and love you all so much. Thank you for supporting my small channel, for shopping my links. I wish you the most blessed week, and I'll look forward to seeing you soon.